Hey guys, I thought I'd talk to you guys today about the idea of being a carer in this state and how the government treats carers. I'm going to tell you some very personal stuff, some stuff that's pretty messed up in terms of what happened to me in the last couple of years. So, I was a carer for 9 years, okay, for someone who had a mental disability. She had schizophrenia, she had depression as well. Very kind lady, very beautiful lady. Anyway, I was my mom. Right? So I was a carer for her for 9 years, okay, because she just really couldn't handle life on her own. Okay, so I did that, and there was a point where I had to move out. Okay, and so I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, okay, I have to move out now. Weirdly enough, some things happened and she started to go crazy, and when she went crazy, like schizophrenic, okay, she goes cold, descendant, like sort of removed emotionally from a situation, okay, like, and she'll talk in a very passive aggressive way, like, oh, is that right, like things like that, like a very she was very upset, right? And that's how you can tell. So she went crazy, and I actually was sick 2 weeks before that, physically, and with like some sort of flu, cold or whatever, something pretty nasty actually. I was in bed for about the whole 2 week period, maybe minus 2 days, so like 12 days. She went crazy, and I couldn't get back in the house. She'd locked the doors. She'd made sure that I couldn't get in, and this was a housing commission home, and it was set up specifically for sort of people with disability, and because I was a carer there, it was fine. So I contacted the authorities, and I said, look, she's not doing so well, and can you do something about that, because she's going crazy, she's not well, that kind of stuff. Well, they told me after contacting her, this is the police, real kind people, they said, no, she looks fine to us, mate, she looks fine to us. Okay. So I couldn't get back in the house, and they couldn't open the house. I couldn't get in, so I was essentially homeless. Although on paper I had a home, there was nowhere to live. There was nowhere, I was literally on the street because I was a carer, right? So my response to this was, well, I guess I can't do this again, like, I can't be in this situation. I've got to move. I've got to do something. So I essentially called up mental health, and I told them she's in a really bad place. I've got to go. Okay, sorry, you guys can't get me in the house. You can't. There's no one helping me. So and I'm on the street, even though I'm a carer. I've got to move. I'm sorry. You got to look after her. You've got to make sure she's okay. Right. So I move, okay, and I get put onto some other thing. Actually, I just go job searching, right? And now, that's all well and good. And then I get a phone call from my neighbor that there's something that's disturbing him. He feels a little uneasy about my mum. So I go back there, and flies on the window. A pretty harsh situation. She'd passed away, and in fact, so much for she looks fine, right? She's fine, mate. Yeah. So what did the state do in that case? Well, to help? Fuck all. They didn't open they didn't open the fucking door. They assumed someone who was clearly mentally ill was okay. All they did was allowed someone to die, right? They're like, we will do fuck all and let someone die because we're incompetent cunts, right? Now, you let this woman die because you had been told. And when the police went there to open the doors the first time when she was still okay, they couldn't get her to open the fucking door. It should have been a sign then, right? Now, it's like, now at that point, when I found out this, and this is like a 2-year period later, after I found out, but I had blamed myself for this. Now, I did a very self-destructive act, yada yada, but the thing is, I think it's a very bad position that the state puts carers in when, if someone goes into a mentally unstable state of mind, that person has the ability to make the carer, in which is caring for that person and making sure they're okay, right? Homeless. Make them homeless when they're in an unstable state of mind. Now, I wasn't homeless on paper, but who gives a shit, right? Well, here's a funny thing. There's this payout that you get also from Centrelink when you've been a carer for a long time and the person you're caring for has passed away, right? Well, guess what? Because of the very short period of time I was on job seeker to actually not die from starvation, that when I went in, they're like, sorry mate, it's 9 years to carer, 9 years, but it's just, you became a job seeker. And it's like, holy shit, what the fuck? I'm glad you guys care. So that had the effect, and this is lovely, where the majority of the stuff that I owned, which I had just become owner of, became something I could not move anywhere because I had no money, right? So the pay that they usually give people when someone passes away, I think it's called grievance or something, right? That pay, which is a couple grand, they didn't pay because of a couple weeks of fucking job seeker versus 9 years of being a carer, right? And it's just, well, I'm glad we live in a state that really cares about their carers, right? I mean, congratulations, guys. Whoever's running Centrelink, well done, So I lost all of the stuff, right? Because couldn't do anything. There was no way I could do anything with that stuff. So a bike just went by the way. But and so much for she looks fine to us, mate. And that's the thing too, right? Perhaps if someone says, and they're a carer and they know, and they're like, this person is not well. You're not a psychologist. You don't know. You should have went to someone who was a psychologist and actually got them involved and seen if she was okay or not, which she clearly was not okay because she killed herself, you fuckers, right? So that's the thing, right? Like, and someone who kills herself isn't okay, right? Now, by the way, the just on that note, the coroner's report, it had stated that, she was found on the floor and that there was, I think it was like Seroquel or something. I can't remember the specifics because I just know that she uses Seroquel and was open, right? So the chances are she OD'd, right? And really, and you may be wondering how old she was. She was in her 50s. I think she was about 57. Like, I'm not too good, with the specific age. I think about 57 was. But it's like, dudes, this is something that easily could have been prevented, And I spent a long time, like 2 years, like pretty much blaming myself for that, because in spite of the fact that the scenario went down, I did move out. I moved, but it's like when I look back on it, it's like, well, sorry, mate. You just fucked carers over, and that's what really happens in this country. Sorry, you're a carer. Oh, well, we don't help you get in your own house. Sorry, mate. So that's my perspective on how we treat carers, and all right, cheers guys.